What was your message to your guys after some of those holding calls?
Well, we got to get better. I don't know, like I said, this is the first year, I guess, since I've been doing this that they've been calling that, usually you can kind of get away from some stuff, but they've been calling a lot tighter. So if they're calling it tighter, then we got to do a better job because, we've made an emphasis to be really good on punt returns, and I think we've given up probably about 90 yards because of penalties. So just got to get better at that.
Coach, what specifically are you working in practice to help eliminate those penalties?
Just moving their feet, not grabbing. I mean, we're not getting like grabbing. We're getting like where we don't let the guy go, which is an aggressive deal. So just got to move their feet and stay involved in it. But I'm not going to change being aggressive. I mean, I'm going to keep doing that. They're just going to have to. We're going to, you got two choices. You're either soft and you're not good on punt return, or you're aggressive and you're good. So we'll get it.
Coach, outside of penalties, how are you assessing the kick return and how are you evaluating just returns in general?
I think it's good. I think, like I said, we were getting some our guys are doing a great job blocking. Unfortunately, you're going to, like a squib kick and you're not going to get yards on those kicks, and even some punts, some of the punts, that you're trying to hit, you're trying to get some miss hits that are lower. But it's hard to return balls that, especially like I said, the squib kicks and pooches and things like that. And those aren't returnable balls. So that just kind of goes into getting the ball in the plus, getting it past the 25, and that's our goal on those kicks.
Jack had his first run this week. What did you see from him in his first game action?
He's been really good. Pregame, as I told Jack, he's had some of his best pre-games getting in. Fortunately, this week we got the punt, but he's had a great off season. This fall camp he was good, so it's good seeing him. Get the ball up and letting us, because obviously when we get into the conference, we're going to be punting a lot more than once or twice a game or no time. So pretty good. I'm happy for Jack.
On the other side, whenever you see a team like Oregon State struggle so much on special teams, how can you guys take advantage of what obviously is an issue for them?
Well, it's kind of one of those deals. The special teams coach, you're glad it's them, not us. But you always, it's just so unfortunate. I've said all the time, if a quarterback goes and throws an interception, or if a defensive back gives up a long play, it's just like, hey, that boy will get him the next time. When that happens on special teams, it seems like everybody in the stadium, everybody on Twitter, everybody in this world knows about the Oregon State's bad snapper, or something. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of the business of being a special teams coach. So, like I said, I felt for them, and I know that, Coach Christensen, he's a good coach. Those guys, you don't work as a special teams coach to go out there and go, I'll just do whatever you want, snap the ball, however. That's not how it works. So, it's kind of one of those deals you don't have control over it, because, you only got so many guys, and that's kind of where they're at right now. They're down, they lost one of their snapper, and then they're down some other guys, and, I'm sure this week in practice, they were focusing on trying to find some other guys that could do it as well. So, I felt bad for those guys for that situation, but, come Saturday, we got to play, so we're going to do the same thing we've been doing.
Coach McGuire mentioned earlier in the season that Stone kind of struggled to kick in front of him last season, and that he was just dealing with some confidence issues in front of Coach McGuire. What have you seen from his poise this season, and what changed?
He's, I think mentally, obviously, I say kicking is as much mental as it is anything else, and he's just changed his mental approach, to it. He's more mature. I thought when Stone first got here, when I watched him in high school, he had a really live leg, but he was 175 pounds, and now he's 200 pounds, and he's a lot more mature, and he knows now how to prepare to go in and kick and practice and all the things that comes into being a good kicker. So I've been really proud of that kid. If there's anybody that had the opportunity to tuck tail and leave, it was him, because he's behind some good kickers, and he just never got a shot. And then this off season, it's the same thing we've been doing every year. Those guys they're gonna battle out until the guy falls off. So I'm proud of what he's doing.
I'm just curious, you talked about Jack. Did his parents get to see him punt this week?
His sister actually was leaving, and she went to Dallas, and then she her and her boyfriend flew back so she could get to watch him punt. So and then his mom's coming, I think, a couple of games later, like senior night or something like that. So, yeah, I think even during the game, Coach came up to me and goes, "Hey, have we punted yet?" And I said, "Yeah, we got one." We ended up getting two, but I think it might have been one of those situations where he was going to tell him, "Hey, run the ball and then let's punt it and let Jack get a punt off." So we were going to punt one way or the other this game.
Coach, in terms of your kicking competition, just using non-conference play to evaluate and rotate different guys in, could we see that competition extend into
Sure,
conference play?
it'd be just like last year. It's gonna go. We're gonna go until, I feel that someone just kind of loses the edge mentality wise, and because that's what kicking and punting is. You got to have an edge, man. So I'm gonna do the same thing we've always done, and whoever wins it's gonna have that edge, and it could change a couple times, but. It's just what we've done, and I'm excited for both those guys. Just keep making kicks.
Anything else before we let him go?
Coach, going back to the special teams holding stuff, Coach McGuire kind of told us about the worship concept. Can you really run us through that drill as if like we were a player, what you're telling them to do?
Yeah, it's called fall off the cliff, and what you're doing is you're trying to run to get in front of the guy, and you're basically just shielding the guy from your back. And so, it's kind of one of those deals where you don't want to hit him in the back. And so what you try to get in between the defender and the ball carrier, and, you just try to intersect the, we just call it falling off the cliff, worship, whatever. I never call it that, but I call it fall off the cliff. And it's kind of one of those deals where you throw your arms up and you're the last, it's the last defense mechanism you got so the guy doesn't make the play. But, yeah, it's something, it's a drill we work on once a week.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
You too.